if we have the same mindset, the same vision, and we can execute together, I think it could be a good opportunity.
But yeah, the question I've wanted to ask all the time and ever since is, tell me the story of YoungBoy and how that all came to be.
Yeah, no, Utah is pretty much like our playground.
Chris is like the creative art side of everything. Dylan is like business and relationships, and then I'm like the on-camera kind of stuff.
I think realistically our main focus of direction moving forward is just not only master like the news, but try to bring more consistent segments, I guess you could call them, to Scoop. Like, I feel like Scoop's given us the opportunity to have a relationship with all these people. If you're going to be the biggest, you know, it comes with a lot of stuff. And it's like,
I don't know, like we know a lot of people out here, and that's the crazy part, how Utah is so small. Like, you just know everybody eventually.
Small Lake City, baby. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Small Lake City podcast. I'm your host, Eric Nilsson. This week, we're sitting down with the team behind one of the most followed and most talked about accounts in Salt Lake City right now, SLC Scoop. If you live in Utah and have an Instagram account, you've probably seen their posts pop up on your feed. From breaking local news, viral videos, crime updates, and honestly, some of the best behind the scenes look at what's really going on in the city. We talk about how they built a page, the balance between the serious and fun nature of the account, the people they've been able to meet, and everything in between. This one was a really fun look to get a peek behind the curtain of a page that's become a daily scroll for so many of us in the area. So the four of us are in this conversation. Dylan is the man behind a lot of the business operations. Chris is the creative genius behind the lens. And Dylan is the face that you probably see the most in all of the posts. So let's jump into it. This is one you're all going to enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side. For real though, like I remember the first time I ever had a mic in my face, and it was like so nerve-wracking, and being like, all right, here we go. Like so I recently started, I call them like the vault episodes, where I just go back on old episodes and re-release them because, you know, a lot of people haven't been there from the beginning.
right.
And I've never re-listened to any of them, but I'll like hear the first little bit as I'm editing in the new intro. I'm like, like slightly cringe. We've learned a lot, but we'll take whatever we can get. But then you just get to a point where you're like, all right, cool. Here's a mic in my face. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Ugh. Yeah, we can just get started, I guess.
Cool. Let's do it.
Because yeah, usually I have to like warm up people, and we've been sitting chatting for a minute. But the Scoop Boy, we have Chris, Jordan, and Dylan, who, I mean, it's been wild to see, like, from my perspective, because like when I first started the podcast, I kind of like, when I created the Instagram, I was like, all right, let's just go find big followings, things a lot of mutual people are following, even if I didn't know much about them, and get going. And like Scoop was one of those. And it's so funny because like being a kid who grew up on the east side, like went to East High School, went to the U, and like now I live like, I guess technically on the west side because my west is in my address, but then always seeing like everything that you guys post and just like the chaos and just like, I mean, how funny it all is always been a wild ride. So as soon as they got to a point, I was like, and then also like with like the YoungBoy stuff, and I mean, even seeing like Jordan's like phase stuff, because like I mean, I'm a big gamer, especially like late 2010s. Like one of my favorite streamers of all time was Nate Hill, and like big Fortnite guy. And so it was just so funny to see, like, there's a post that you did recently where you were with, oh my God, I can't think of his name.
It was swag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do these things come together? And like, so it's like, not only did I get exposed to you guys, but then it's like, oh, by the way, here's this YoungBoy stuff. Here's what Bijan told me. Here's this. I'm like, how is this all happening and how it all came together? So as the more time went by, it was like cheese or a good fine wine. Like it aged my perspective and had enough that I knew more to talk about. Whereas if I would have talked to you from the beginning, it would have been like, oh, so you have an Instagram page. Tell me about that. It's just not as exciting. But I mean, how did you guys get to, like, what started all of this? Did you guys know each other from the beginning, or how did you get introduced?
Yeah, I mean, Chris and I have known each other, 16 years? Yeah, we've been friends for a really long time. We've always kind of done creative stuff together, just throughout the time, whether it be photos, videos, whatever the case. And kind of growing into that, Chris was, you know, had some life changes happen. He was about to be a dad, and he's like, I'm going to be home a lot more. You know, I want to do something. I want to create something. And I was actually out of the state at the time. I was living in Florida.
Oh, dear.
So he kind of called me with the idea and, you know, asked me if I wanted to be a part of it with him and kind of see what we could do with it. And honestly, kind of started out as like, I guess, a joke, like a lot of trial and error, of course, but like the beginning of it, I feel like was pretty funny just because like we didn't have expectations, you know.
And did you have like an idea of what you wanted to do or what you wanted to become, or is it mostly like we'll just start something and see where it goes from there?
More of that. Yeah, I feel like the user generated stuff was like, once that started to kind of flow, news wasn't really like what we were, I feel like, focused on right out the gate. Like,
Yeah.
But it was just more of being able to offer more exposure. But like, yeah, just as fast as it grew, it just didn't make any sense to either one of us. It kind of caught us both off guard.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like, and it's never an intentional thing when done right. Because like the people that are like, oh, I just really want to have a big social media following, so I'm going to start this and have it do something well. Because usually it's, I mean, you can smell authenticity from a mile away.
Right.
But it's the people, it's like, hey, like we've created stuff. I want to create stuff. Also, I have a baby on the way and I need to pay for stuff.
Yeah.
So let's figure out a way to make cool things, but then align that with what people would want. And then like once those two things come in line, then that's when everything starts to take off.
100%.
So how did you guys meet originally? And like what, I'm like just curious, like what started the creative side of things? Even just thinking about, I mean, 16 years ago, rough math, 2009. Actually, that's not rough math. That is math.
Yeah.
But like, that's not the time when people were creating things.
No.
Like to say I'm going to go shoot video and edit it or take photo and edit it. I mean, you don't really have an iPhone then. You have to be pretty intentional about it.
Right.
But I mean, what kind of stuff were you doing? I mean, and what kind of started that creative or scratching that creative itch?
I think it was more later.
Yeah. It was football first. We played football together.
Yeah.
And then I think we ended up going to school together in high school.
Yep.
And then that in high school, that's when I started like photography.
Okay.
That was like 2015.
What got you into photography?
Just like music, I guess. I wanted to do music, but yeah, I had to find something like a way into it. And I think photography was the easiest way.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's like everybody, there's a lot of people, especially at that age. Like, I mean, when I think of like the times of my life, I was most active in following music and like, I guess like related to the music was during that time. Because I mean, call it adolescence, call it growing up, and you grab onto something to relate to. And for a lot of people, it's music. And so people want to get involved with it, but it's kind of like they feel like they either have to go be rapper, musician, something, but instead you're like, hey, like someone's taking these pictures we like, someone's shooting this video we like.
Yeah.
And so many people aren't thinking that way, that they get kind of hung up in, and you're like, hey, like I'm not doing this yet, but I know if I can get good at this doing this thing that I can have an opportunity for, then eventually we can bridge that gap.
100%.
Yeah, no. And I was doing the newsroom in high school.
Yeah.
You know the newsroom?
Yeah.
Like I think I made a video or something for them, but
it's like those things that, I mean, from my perspective in high school, and I would see people doing that, I'd be like, I never want to do that. Like that's dumb. But that
gives you access to all the cameras. If you get into the newsroom, like you have all the access to the big cameras.
Yeah. And you have access, you have all the subscriptions to all the video editing.
Yeah. So that's like the main reason, like you should go into it if you want to like learn editing. But yeah.
Because sometimes you just need a reason to be able to edit something. Because like to be able to like, oh, cool, like this might not be my top choice in what I want to work on, but I'm at least getting like at bats and get reps in what I need to be doing. So then when I can, it's not like YoungBoy knocks on your door and is like, hey, like I need a music video. You're like, fuck, I got to figure something out real quick. But instead you're like, oh yeah, like check this out. It's like, bet.
Right.
So at what point did Mr. Jordan join the picture?
Yeah, it's been about a year and some like a month, maybe. I think it was like April of last year. Today's June 1st, yeah. So like April of last year, Dylan gave me a call, or actually reached out to me because we'd always been like following each other and like it was like a mutual respect thing, but we had never done anything. And then it was like April of last year. He sent me a DM. He's like, hey, we're working on some stuff. We really want you to get involved. Like, can I give you a call? Yeah. And so it just took one phone call and I was like, oh, yeah. Like, absolutely. Yeah.
Because I know your background is interesting.
Very unorthodox.
From, I mean, gaming and YouTube and Twitch to, I mean, everything that you're doing now of, I mean, hyper-localized content in Salt Lake. But I mean, what started your, let's call it internet exposure, or I mean, just social media presence in general?
It was my freshman year, so ninth grade, summer of ninth grade. I've always been a gamer. That's always in my background, from Nintendo 64, GameCube, PlayStation 2, Wii, like everything. Yeah. That's always been my thing. But it was in ninth grade. Summer was right around the corner. I was a teacher's assistant for a gym teacher, so you're doing nothing the last few weeks of school. And I was very in love with Call of Duty at the time. And so I found the streamer. He was streaming every single day while I was in that TA class. While they're out doing stuff, I would just sit and watch his Twitch stream. Yeah. And slowly through that, I was like, oh, this is cool. And just through random events, meeting people in Call of Duty, I ended up becoming friends with the streamer that I'd been watching for months.
Who was it?
His name's Green Goblin HD. He doesn't do anything anymore, but he was really big during like Modern Warfare 3 in 2011, Black Ops 2, peak era when everybody was, you know, really playing. But yeah, so through random events, became friends that were friends with him, then moved into that group, and then we started randomly meeting people just through like Twitter and YouTube and stuff like that were on the grind. Yeah. And then they just convinced me to start doing YouTube myself. And I was like, okay. So I started in like I really started in like 2015. Okay. Right after I graduated.
Which was like good timing too.
Yes.
Cause like everybody, I mean, so for context, when I look at my streaming platform or like media I consume, Twitch is probably like number 1 or 2. Yeah. Like I watch a lot of Twitch. I fall asleep to Twitch. If I'm walking or running on a treadmill, it's usually to Twitch. And so, and like just the way my brain works, I like just see trends and see how things are happening. Yep. And you think about like that area of like obviously like, FaZe started from, Black Ops 2 and kind of like that Modern Warfare. And then you have the people who kind of started to hit their stride then, like, the Nick Mercs, the Ninjas, the Tim the Tatmans, those sort of people. And so it's nice to have kind of like your ducks in a row to execute at that time and have that exposure when it did.
Absolutely. It was crazy too, because like I went from going to gaming events like 2014, 16, 17, like being fans of all these people that I was around, and then just through consistent posting and growth and everything like that, and like our little friend group growing, I became friends with the people that I was fanboying. Yeah. So it's like, it's
such a wild full circle.
Such a crazy like moment. It's like now I can honestly say that there's like people in FaZe Clan that I'm like friends with, or that have been in FaZe Clan that I'm like friends with, and like, 13-year-old, 14-year-old me would be freaking out. You know what I'm saying? So it is my journey's been very, very different than I think a lot of people's. But
well, it seems like there've been some friends that have remained pretty consistent. Because you've posted stuff semi-recently, like with Swag. Yeah. And so it's got to be cool to like, have these people that you had, these experiences with that were, great, especially going from, oh shit, I'm in a TA gym class at the end of the year, watching people stream to being like, oh shit, now we're like meeting up, playing together, getting in lobbies together. Yeah. Like, and then you can still have those friends today, even though you're not maybe like focusing in the same way. But
yeah, it's crazy because like Swag specifically, I met him in a random Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 lobby. That's how we became friends. Is he was going for like the nuke in the game. Yeah. And I was with a group of like 3 or 4 other people that were doing the same thing. He ended up on our team, and one of the people knew who he was. He probably had 200 subscribers on YouTube, like at this moment. And so we were, chatting about that, and then we brought him into the group, and then it was just one of those natural things where everybody was on, just going for nukes and playing Call of Duty, just how you are when you're 16, 17, and then it just blossomed. Like we started incorporating more people. It grew. We'd go to gaming events together. Like we'd all split hotel rooms. Like it became like a whole thing. And those people are like, that group of friends, like they will be at my wedding. Like that's the type of like friendships that I built. And then like with Swag, we've been friends, like I said, since we were 15. He's 29 and 28. But yeah, I go out there. He lives in LA. He's been there for the last 5 years, and I go out there at least once a year to go visit them and hang out with them. And I was there for an entire month.
Are they all still living was it Nuke Squad?
Yeah, Nuke Squad.
Live together?
Yeah, they all live together. Yeah,
because that's when I started following him. Was like Warzone.
Yeah,
2020
when everybody's inside, there's nothing else to do.
Oh yeah,
so, yeah.
But like I love that like. The gaming relationship with people is such a unique one.
Yes.
Like, for example, one of my friends and his little brother, Zach and Braxton Huntsman, it was when I was still living in Seattle, like 7 years ago now, and playing a shit ton of Fortnite. And all of a sudden, one friend's like, oh, like, hey, we're going to hop in this game. Like, come join. Like, all right, like, bet, whatever. And it's one of those, like, oh, we know all of the same people. I don't know how haven't met yet, but we probably played for like a year and a half, like multiple times a week. And then the first time I ever saw him was when he brought his first daughter home from the hospital. And so I was like, hey, like, what up? Like, that we drop in. And like, I've probably seen him in person probably like less than 15 times. Yeah. But like the amount of like hours we've seen playing, like, yeah, like when I get married, like, yeah, would be in my wedding.
Absolutely.
And so it's those people that, yeah, it's so fun. So you get connected to these guys, and it sounds like Dylan reached out and said, hey, like, we see what you're doing. We think there's some opportunity. Were you raised in California?
No, I'm born and raised here in Utah. Yeah, like born and raised.
Right.
So
how, like, yeah. How did you initially get turned on to them? Like, I'm just curious how, like, all of the steps that go towards these, like, paths crossing.
I think Dylan followed me first. Like, it wasn't even SLC Scoop. It had nothing to do with Scoop. I think it was just Dylan.
Yeah.
And then I always observe, like, who follows me. I'm super, like, particular who I interact with. And I saw a ton of people, because you guys went to Copper Hills.
Yeah.
So I went to West Jordan and went to Copper Hills. They're like just rivals because they're both in West Jordan. So there's just the rivalry there. So, but I saw a ton of people that I know follow him. So I was like, oh, like he's just a mutual with a bunch of people. So I just followed.
Yeah.
And then he started posting a little bit more about Scoop, and I'm like, what is this? And so I just observed from the outside, and then I think his perspective is probably a little bit different on how, because he came to me. I didn't go to them. They came to me.
Yes. I mean, like, during that time, what were you saying? Or like, how did that, because like to get to a point where, I mean, especially if you've had something that you're working on either alone or with some other people, the thought of bringing someone else in is that's a conversation. Because I mean, we all can probably spit off like 5 to 10 people in our lives of like, oh, I started the business with this person. A year later, I either bought them out or they fucked it up.
Yep.
And so like to be so intentional about, again, like you guys have this baby you've been creating, and are like, all right, like let's bring someone into the fold, and this is why. Like, what was your thought process behind that?
I mean, realistically, I feel like I like to say I have a pretty good judge of character. So I feel like for me, I was kind of observing what Jordan was already doing. I watched a lot of stuff that he was doing.
Because you were putting out content, like a lot of content.
Oh, yeah, a lot.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was seeing, and at the time, I don't have TikTok anymore, but when I did, I was seeing a lot of his stuff on TikTok. And so that transitioned into me kind of having a conversation with Chris. I'm like, hey, like, I think this dude would do really well if we brought him to Scoop and, like, just amplified his content. Like, he's already doing really well. Like, we just need to find people we want to grow with.
Yeah.
And where it'd be mutually beneficial for both parties. And so we had that conversation. We kind of let that sink in. We didn't really make any immediate moves. We continued to watch stuff. We continued to have conversations about it.
So you guys are like messaging this entire, so it's not just like this random DM to be like, we would like to invite you to be part of the fold.
Him and I.
Oh,
yeah. So Chris and I were more of discussing it like, is this the right move? Like, should we do this? And then I kind of just told Chris, like, hey, I think we, at least get on a call with him. Let's just fill him out. Let's see.
You hadn't met him in person?
No.
Okay.
No. And so we talked about that, and I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to reach out to him.
Yeah.
And so we had a good conversation, and I think like everything just aligned. Like, I think that's what made it such a healthy way to bring him on and transition over, just because like we kind of picked each other's brains. I'm like, okay, what are your goals? What are your intentions? What are you trying to do a year from now? Like, what is it that you're trying to execute in Salt Lake, And a lot of our ideas aligned. So it was like, okay, cool. Well, if we have the same mindset, the same vision, and we can execute together, I think it could be a good opportunity. And then as soon as we brought Jordan on, like after we had that conversation, it just made sense. We met up with them, everybody connected really well. And then it was just like, okay, how do we get things moving? Like, how do we make this beneficial for both of us to where now we can really push this?
Yeah. Because it's like, when you bring someone on, I mean, especially such a small scale, where there's like, I mean, essentially 3 of you plus some other people to jump in and help every now and then.
Right.
Like adding someone can either, I mean, essentially like, I mean, just using easy numbers, like increase your output or whatever you're doing 50%, or they can make you have to do their shit all over again and take from what you're going to do.
Right.
And so to have someone where, but then there's also like, you can't have 3 of the same people trying to do different things.
100%.
And so have like where people execute and do things. But then also the good thing about Scoop and all of you is you all have your relative like social media followings. It's not like all of you are, I don't want to say all in on Scoop, because like that's the biggest, what seems to be the biggest priority for you guys.
Right.
But you also have your various things that you do personally as well.
Right.
Like it's always funny to see all of your guys' stories lined up on the feed. I'm like, all right, buckle up. You got some shit to watch. Next thing I know, I'm like tapping wearing a ski mask. But yeah, the question I've wanted to ask the whole time and ever since is, tell me the story of YoungBoy and how that all came to be. Because it's, I mean, if you're not from here, because again, if you followed Scoop for enough, you're like, okay, like I see this shit happening, but like, sure, like in Utah of all places, but yeah, talk me through how it all came together. Which is to preface with, it's got to be pretty fucking cool to go back to your like high school self and say, hey, I want to get into music. I'm going to get into photography and videography.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
arguably one of the most relevant rappers in the last few years, is like, hey, I need some help.
Yeah, no, I think we just got lucky. And with Post Malone, we got lucky with Post Malone too. But yeah, we've just known him. We've known him and he's just been our friend ever since.
Because you guys shoot essentially like most, or if not all of his music videos.
Yeah, he has a way with like music videos, but yeah, we're pretty much like on call for like music videos out here. But yeah, every now and then he has other cameramen out here. So
And what's it like walking onto a YoungBoy music video scene?
it's more like random.
Like people randomly boxing and
Yeah. Shit. I mean, it's really like a run and gun shoot. Do you know what a run and gun shoot is?
Yes, but explain it.
It's pretty much just like on the spot, wherever you're at. Let's just do a music video.
Camera. Here we go.
Yeah, you gotta like really think about the setting too, in like a short period of time. But it's fun though. Wherever we're at, we just shoot a music video.
Yeah, Maverick gas stations, random houses in the woods.
Yeah.
It's like I can't imagine being the camera guy for that work, because like it's one thing to be like, all right, here's a shoot, here's where we're doing it, everything's all prepped, we got the light all read out, like here we go, compared to like, hey, I'm gonna light up backwood, play some music, and 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, no, Utah's pretty much like our playground, I could say.
Yeah.
What about you, Dylan? Anything to add or anything that you saw from that? I mean, just experience of how it got it. Because, like, how did he end up here, of all places?
Background, I think, of just childhood, like having family and relatives and good people around him growing up out here.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know you had family here.
Yeah, traveling back and forth. I think that's what, and I mean, Utah, I feel like is just a natural, like, has a drawing effect. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's crazy actually is so NBA YoungBoy's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I spent a summer in Baton Rouge, Louisiana doing door to door when I was like 19.
Nice.
So I know what Baton Rouge is like, you know, so it's like coming from there to here, like it's a, you know, it's a big draw effect. I feel like there's a lot of stuff to do. Like Utah is relatively very safe. You know what I mean? That's like, I feel like that's another huge thing, but like kind of bouncing off what Chris was saying is like, because of his way of shooting music videos, it's very run and gun. I feel like that's what kind of showcases Chris's talent, just because like there's a lot of people in the industry that spend 30, 40, 50, $100,000, you know, on music videos. And it's like how you said, it's like production, everything's set. There's a way of doing things. And so it's like, of course it's going to be good. Everything's played out.
Yeah.
Where like when Chris shoots, because it's run and gun, you kind of have to just roll with it and then make it badass on your own, whether that be editing or however you showcase the shots. Like, I feel like that's what kind of makes it a little bit different compared to what a lot of other cameramen do.
And just feels more authentic.
Yeah.
Because again, like anybody can be a studio, have wardrobe, have everything going, and be like, all right, play.
Right.
But to be like, I'm literally just following him around waiting for, or just recording things that I will use at some point, just B-roll. And like, because it's like, because people think recording content, and I will die on this hill, it's like, oh, if you're shooting content, recording content, creating content, that's easy. Just have a camera. I'm like, listen.
Yeah.
No. Even just like the thought of like B-roll, of just seeing people sitting in time, be like, all right, pull out a camera and start filming. You're like, oh, they're doing this, cool. Or like, oh, here's a backdrop. And the next thing you know, you're editing a video and you're like, shit, I need a 15-second clip. You're like, oh, this one works perfect. Or this one does that.
Right.
And then try to have like a narrative around it. Like that takes skill. But to be able to, again, like go in intentionally, have a script, have a narrative, have a creative vision, and go do that, like, don't get me wrong, like that's hard too.
100%.
But
Yeah.
it's a whole different set of, it's like the difference between like being a good freestyler and being a good like lyricist.
Right.
Like, two very different things. Both are respectable. But at the end of the day, like seeing someone drop like a little Dicky or Juice WRLD flow and being like, God damn, like that was just all right off of the head is a different, in my personal opinion, a different itch to scratch.
Right.
So, and then now, I mean, and even more recently with him, I mean, he just, I was sitting on the toilet in all honesty, and I scroll, I'm like, and President Trump pardons YoungBoy. I was like,
That's you.
like, all right, like, cool, sure, like, yeah, he's out. Because he was on house arrest, which is why you guys have, here up north, which is how you guys got into film. But I mean, now that he's like a free man, I mean, how does that change your guys' either relationship with him or like just shooting more content or maybe less content because he can go more places? I don't know. We're no idea yet because it's so recent.
What was the question?
Just like, because he got pardoned this week by President Trump, which is words I never thought I would ever say. I mean, does that change anything from him of being like, okay, listen, I can do more now, or like I don't have to focus on other legal stuff? Does that change the way that you think about, I mean, filming for him and creating content?
It's more it's not in the house anymore, so we could do whatever we want.
Yeah, thank God. A
Yeah,
little bit more creative freedom than
yeah, it's still like more run and gun, but it's like we're not restrained to the house.
Yeah.
Like we could go somewhere,
Right.
but we're not doing anything crazy yet. Just
still on call waiting for that crazy shot.
yeah, no, I'm waiting to leave Utah with them. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's got to be nice to run and gun in a PJ.
yeah. No, I think we've used most of Utah. We haven't really gone outside to like all of Utah, but yeah, once we're out of Utah, I think that's when it'll get more fun.
Yeah,
at least for me, but for him, I bet it feels good to be outside.
Yeah. It's not have like just mental bandwidth, because like again, he has to deal with all of this and then have it go away. Like, cool, I've presented my brain back to do things that I want to do.
No, he's a normal guy too, so it's like he's got his own stuff going on too besides music.
Yeah.
So it's I find it impressive how he balances all of it. So
100%.
So yeah, it's cool. But yeah,
it'd be nice to have a little bit more freedom than how can we use the same stuff over again, then make it feel fresh and new.
Yeah, no, I know he's having a good time right now.
Oh, I would be too if I just pardoned and don't have to worry about that going to jail anymore. That's a nice feel. I don't know that feeling, but I can imagine it doesn't suck. But then, I mean, also on the same topic of like Post Malone, I mean, how did that, I mean, which one came first? Did like all the YoungBoy stuff where like Post can see that, be like, oh, there's these guys that can shoot, let's go reach out to them? Or was that before all the YoungBoy stuff?
Post Malone, I think Post Malone came around the same time, but I'm not really too sure.
Yeah, I don't remember what year he moved here.
Probably like a year before that, before YoungBoy came.
What stuff have you worked on with that? Or still
Post Malone, we haven't worked with nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. Our
friend,
yet. Our friends, Gallantons.
Yeah.
He shops there. So
that sounds right. That tracks. Because he's also like the nicest guy in the world. Like I walked into Edison one day, as I do, and I like kind of like looking at my phone, going up to the bar. I was like, oh shit, like, Post Malone. Like, all right, cool. Like, and I'm like, we'll go sit. Like, guys, I don't like to be that person. Like, oh my god, like, you know. But so I go sit down at the bar and just kind of like just watching it all happen, because I mean he has his bodyguards. There's of course girls being like, oh my god, I love you, and he's like, oh my god, I'm so fucking drunk. But like people will go up to him and he's like, oh, of course, I'll take a picture. Like what? Like he loves it here, which is it's so fun to see someone embrace him. Like I've heard a couple things on interviews with him about it, but one day I'll be able to talk to him and get the full scoop
for sure.
But yeah, so there's all that. What else was I going to ask about? I asked about phase, stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, so you set out to create this thing. And I guess like going back to the reason Chris wanted to do this is he has, I mean, Baby in the Way I wanted to do it. So it's got to be fun to see, like, cool, we've created this, we've done this thing, we're still doing stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, what's been your favorite part, or all of your guys' favorite part along the way, and what like gives you most energy moving forward?
I don't know.
I got it. You think on that one. You think on that one. I think what I've over the last year, like being really involved, just because what I kind of do, like you were saying it earlier, we all kind of do different things. Like Chris is like the creative art side of everything. Dylan is like business and relationships, and then I'm like the on camera kind of stuff. But I think the biggest thing I've noticed over the last year is just like the recognition, like how much people love Scoop out and about. Like I'll do, I actually filmed like a street interview style video a couple weeks ago, and I had a hoodie that says SLC Scoop on it. Seeing it in person, like you can see the numbers online and you can track all that, but seeing the reaction to the brand in person is the most insane thing I think ever. Because it's like I have my own thing where like I'll get recognized time to time for like my own stuff.
Yeah.
But the SLC Scoop stuff, like the reaction to that from people just out and about, that is one of the craziest things. It's like I called him the day after I filmed that video. I was like, dude, like I haven't been like outside since like you hit 100,000 on the Instagram and like starting to kind of post more video footage and content and stuff like that. And so like to see what it's manifested into in person, like with everybody in Salt Lake is insane. Like I think that's honestly become my favorite thing over the last year, just the reaction to the brand and what we're posting from the people that consume it.
Yeah. Cause like because it's like, it's hard to find people that understand that feeling.
Yeah.
Of like, cause again, like I upload, I mean, a lot of content, at least like a podcast a week, and you see the numbers, you see everything, but that doesn't mean like people and faces and how they found it.
Right.
But then like, once you start to see that, you're like, oh shit. Like it's like, there's people that actually like, for lack of a better term, like fuck with this.
Yeah.
And like, I'll never forget, there was one story, he's actually like my friend now, but so, because I like also like I kind of like live in a micro bubble unintentionally. I need to be better about it. Where it's like, I mean, I have a remote job for my full-time job, working from home, but then I also spend a ton of time at Edison House. Like that's the majority of my social time. Everybody there knows I have a podcast, but it's kind of just between these two places.
Right.
But then now and then I'll go out with friends, and I usually always try to wear like a small Lake City hat, especially if I'm, or like a shirt, especially if I'm going out. Like it's your brand. You want to promote that.
Right.
And then like I'll never forget, I was at the closing night at Alibi. And I was like, just kind of like overwhelmed because, I mean, if you've ever been to Alibi, it's chaotic and a lot of people. So I'm like, I just need to go get a breath. And there's this girl, she's pretty drunk. And she looks, she's like, you look just like that guy that has that podcast. And I was like, oh, I've gotten that before. And I like start to walk, but she's like, wait a minute. Like, I was like, oh no, thank you so much. Like, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you don't contextualize it until someone like sees that. And like, that's where it becomes like very real. And like, I don't have nearly as much of like a following or have of a history as like Scoop and everything. And so it's got to be wild to like just be walking down the street in a Scoop sweatshirt with a camera, a light, and a mic, and be like, oh shit, like yeah, this is that. Especially going from like, I mean, again, like you've had your own following, your own like exposure in some way, shape, and form, but it's got to be a different experience to have something that, I mean, you join, especially to work on with other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like to see that and see that moment, like, oh damn, like nice move. Like I'm glad I did this.
Yeah, I'm super picky with who I involve myself with. I don't really like a lot of other content creators, just in general, not even just Utah scene, just in general. You know, like I have my selective groups and people that I socialize with, and I have like acquaintances. But yeah, it's like seeing what this has become and what we have plans for in the future to become. Like it's already very tangible, what we've been able to do, and it's like it's still just insane the reaction I get, because it's like I went from being, oh, you're the Utah TikTok guy, to you're the, like, I see you on Instagram, and then now it's like, oh, you're Scoop, like SLC Scoop,
like you are Scoop.
like everybody. It's so funny because everybody thinks, because these guys don't, this you're getting, you're never on camera. I'm always the one that's on camera, so everybody thinks I am SLC Scoop, and then they'll be like, bro, like, do you run the whole thing? I'm like, I'm mostly just the face. Like, I just get on
It's
camera.
got the money maker.
Exactly. That's what I'm for. Like, these guys are the brains of the operation. This is their baby. But yeah, just the growth of everything in the last year has been insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Because because I've done everything solo up until the last few months. And because like it's hard when it's just you, because you're like, oh cool, like I have these things I want to do, but no one else is like pushing you to do it, or like has some sort of like, hey, you said you do this by then, like did something happen, like what, like some sort of accountability, you know. And going back, I forgot to finish that story, ADHD brain for you. So if I work out every morning at Edison, and there's like, I see kind of the same 5 to 10 people, some rotate out, some rotate in. And there's a guy I always saw, but if you see me at the gym, it's like head nod at best. Like, I'm not here to talk to you. I've like clock's running, I got shit to do. And so this guy I always saw. And so I also work at Edison a lot. And so I go in and see my friend Maddie, and she's like, oh, like there's Mike. Do you know Mike? Like, I don't know him, but I see him every morning. She's like, Mike, come here. Blah, blah. He's like, oh, hey, I see you. Your name's Eric. Oh, Mike. Well, he's like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I work in tech and host a podcast. He's like, oh, that's so cool. What's the podcast? I was like, oh, it's called Small Lake City. He's like, what? I was like, first off, like, what do you mean? One, this is like, this go one of two ways. And he's like, no way. He's like, I moved here, found the podcast, listened to the first episode, which is of Edison House, like George Uncharted Cardin, and then joined the next day.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I listen to the podcast almost every week. Like, this is how I've gotten to know the place. Like, thank you so much. And it was like, that was one of the first moments I was like, oh, like people, like this affects people. And so now he's a good friend of mine. He's actually, like we had a conversation, and I'll ask him if I can post this before I say it, but like he just kind of like, I have a good job, I make good money, but I just don't feel like I'm like that I'm not fulfilled.
Yeah.
And so I had this conversation like blah blah blah, heart to heart. And then there was one day he was getting ready while I was in the shower at Edison, and I heard him just talking to this guy and just getting to know him and just so curious about him. I was like, I want him to be part of this because I see how much he wants what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I hit him up like, hey, listen, I want you to come help. I need help with like partners and outreach and just like scheduling. Like, would you be willing to help? He's like, absolutely. So that was the second person I brought on. And then that was like my own doing. But then in December last year, I got laid off from a job, which I'm not mad about then nor now. And so I had like a bunch of time, and it was nice because again, like I don't have to worry about things. I can just be like everything that I put on the back burner, I didn't have time for. It's like, no excuse now.
Absolutely.
And then I accepted a new job. And then I was like, shit, like it kind of sucks that I have this momentum and kind of have to slow down. And then this woman named Shayna reaches out to me. And she's like, hey, I moved back here from Seattle a few years ago. I just graduated from the U in engineering. I used to work at bars and do all of these events, and I kind of miss being a part of the community. Like, can I help? And I was like, yeah, like let's grab coffee and chat and make sure like it makes sense. Yeah. And like this whole year for me has been a priority of like building a community, bringing people together. And so I sit down like, hey, like, what do you want to, like, what's your goal? Like, what would you want to do? And she's like, I want to be able to like coordinate events and make them go like happen and do all this. I'm like, perfect. So, like, that is exactly it. And so it's been fun to see, like, if you put out the right things and the right energy, the right people start to come along. And so it's like with you, like, oh, cool. Like I see them, what they're doing, follow. They see you follow, they like you doing follow back. And little by little, like, hey,
Yeah.
let's make this happen. Because again, selected with people, not going to do everything with everybody,
Yeah.
but the right person comes along, sees the vision, want on board. I mean, that's when fun stuff starts to happen.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that's cool. I mean, like thinking about, I mean, Scoop today versus Scoop tomorrow. I mean, what are some of your guys' priorities or what's on the docket coming up?
I mean, if the cameras are showing,
I mean, realistically, we have a lot of things that we're trying to do. I think realistically, our main focus of direction moving forward is just trying to not only master like the news aspect of things, but try to bring more consistent segments, I guess you could call them, to Scoop. Just have something that people could consistently come back to besides media. Like, I think we already kind of have that under control, which is, we're super grateful for. And it gives us an opportunity to kind of trial and error a lot of stuff with the audience as far as media goes, how far we can kind of, as crazy as it might sound, like push the boundaries a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's our focus now, is like making sure that that's completely dialed in to where now that's something we got a black belt in, we can move on to something else. We can start executing segments, whether it be just different businesses, highlighting different businesses, finding niches in Utah, just finding something that we can do on a consistent basis every week, bring people back for something else besides media. I mean, they're already there anyways. The traffic, if the traffic's there, I feel like if we can deliver something that people want to consistently watch, I think that could kind of change our direction as a business too. Doing more in-house production. I just think that's a big focus for us. That and just merchandise. I think merchandise is super, super important to us. I feel like it'll be a way for us to kind of connect with our audience too.
Yeah.
Just because of the way, like, from my perspective, I think Scoop is like the rebellious, brand. Yeah. It's like hated by the news type of thing. So it's like with our theme of our brand as itself, because it's a business and a brand are completely different, two separate things. So it's like, the business thing is developed. Now it's, our next project to tackle is developing a brand to where we can, connect with our audience a little bit more. And, I think seeing something like it's kind of like the way I look at it is like being if you're an artist, listening or hearing your own song on the radio, how cool that is. Like for me, and I really like, I'm passionate about clothes, passionate about creating. So I think pushing clothing for us would be really cool. Yeah. Because if I see that out in the wild, what I mean?
That's my shirt.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah. So,
which is also similar to like, I mean, Chris with wanting to get into music, to shoot music, and having a way to do it. Like and like his high school experience, like you can't do it until you have a reason to do it.
Right.
Or else it's really hard to get started. Because if you don't have like a vehicle to learn and get those at bats, it's really hard to just be like, okay, I'm going to go outside and record this tree, something like there's hard to. And so now like that you have a way to work on something that's also a passion and just have like a blank canvas of like, oh, I like a goal in this. I have a brand that I want to create in this, but now I finally have something compared to start from square one. Like, what does this look like and how do I do that?
Right.
Yeah. No, SLC scoop is always fun. I think the fun part about the whole thing too is when people send us videos and they say SLC scoop in the video. Sometimes they say Salt Lake scoop, but that's fine too.
Hey, we'll get it back around plays.
The World Star effect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like instead of people saying fighting in the streets, like World Star, now it's like SLC scoop, scoop.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah, and just seeing like the whole brand. I designed everything until like last year. We made like a new logo update, but as far as that, like everything that I've made and people like is a good feeling too. So it's like I got paid for that. Like I don't know, like the whole feel to SLC Scoop, I'm glad they feel it too. The same way that I like made it for, you know?
Right. Because like
It's
you
not
have sorry, finish that.
like I don't know, like people used to think that SLC Scoop was like a
TMZ.
gossip
Yeah.
more, but it's not. It's like if you see something, just send it to us.
See something, say something.
Yeah, we're not
TA tracks.
we're not the cops either. So we're
No
not.
worries.
Yeah,
No need to filter.
yeah. Just make sure. Yeah.
But that's like a thing too that I think's interesting because like again, like when you're editing, when you're creating, when you have an idea of like again that brand look and feel that you want for Scoop, it's cool when you see people pick up exactly what you wanted to put out.
Right.
So it's fun to be able to have again like an artist with his paintbrush or a Chris with his I would guess Adobe Premiere or something around there.
Yeah. Adobe Photoshop.
There you go.
Or,
And like it's the same thing. You can have this idea of what you want to do, how you want to convey it, and be like, and someone's like, hey, I like this because of that. You're like, bingo, nailed
Yeah.
it.
Even when they hate it too, if they criticize it, it's okay.
It's a lesson.
It feels good too.
If you're not failing a little bit, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And if everybody loves everything, then you're also doing something wrong.
Right.
And also like never happens to you. So
Yeah.
I would say like a cool thing about Scoop for me is my favorite part of Scoop, I think, is the opportunity to meet so many new people in Utah, like whether it be entrepreneurs or, you know, young people that are hustling, trying to just do cool stuff. Like, I feel like Scoop's given us the opportunity to have a relationship with all these people. And honestly, like it's given me the opportunity to meet a lot of really good people, you know? I've come to realize a lot of the successful entrepreneurs in Utah are very friendly and very willing to help. Offer whether it be advice or any type of guidance, whatever the case be. Like, I think that was a struggle for us for a long time, was like lacking direction. You know, we have the recipe, but we didn't know how to cook it, you know, for a long time. We're trying to figure out like what we were going to do, what direction we're going to go in. And it's like having those people at arm's length reach to be able to be like, hey, you know, you've been successful for X amount of time. Like, what roadblocks did you run into? From a successful person's, you know, point of view, where do you see like things missing from Scoop? So it's like being able to have opportunity to get advice and knowledge from people that have, you know, done a lot more than all of us.
Yeah.
I think that's what's kind of given us a lot of willpower to push really heavily to try to make Scoop into something bigger.
Yeah, because like that's one thing I've been grateful for too, is like it's wild the people you can just DM and say, hey, I host a podcast. Do you want to be on a podcast? Like, yeah, I'm in. Right. I'm like, all right, like right on. And like, it's fun. And then, I mean, people become friends, and especially like a lot of other people, like I love being the person to like send an email to somebody like, hey, I have this idea. Would you be interested? And they're like, yeah. Like I DM'd both the Holo Zoo and the aquarium, where it's like my favorite animal in the world is a river otter. And so I DM'd them like, hey, listen, I have this idea where we make this like spin-off where I pose to be like an otter chiropractor, and I'll come in and they're like, are you sure this one? Yeah, here's my like certification. And like it gets me into like the back, and they're kind of like, no. like that. I don't even think we can legally do it. I'm like, all right, just an idea.
Right.
And so it's those people, like I love being able to have people that I can send things to, or like be able to like want to collaborate or do something with.
Right.
And they do that. But then also just being able to learn from so many great people. And I think the collaboration side of thing is something very, very, very unique to Utah, especially Salt Lake. Everyone is willing to help. And I've seen that in, I mean, the art community, the tech community, the food community, even like the after hours and like, I mean, party like / rave community.
Right.
And seeing how much people are willing to support someone, especially if someone has a vision and wants to do something. Because like one thing I've learned a ton through the podcast is the more specific you can be with a request for someone, the more likely they are to help you.
1000%.
Because it's like if I go to Jordan, I'm like, hey, Jordan, let's go get lunch. You're like, all right, where do you want to go? What do you want to eat? But if I'm like, hey, I'm going to be in West Jordan around 12 o'clock. I'm really feeling some Asian or like some Japanese teriyaki or maybe some Liberia tacos. And you're like, bet, I know this place or this place.
Right.
So in the same way, if you're like, hey, I want to talk to this person because I have this, like whatever it might be, can you help me? And it's like, yeah, like you know exactly what you want. And I'm like willing to help people.
Right.
But if you don't come in with a specific question, then it's like, I'm moving out for workshop this a little bit, but I like don't really have time to like sit here and like like spoon feed you how to come up with a good question.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like Jordan, what's been like, I mean, you talked about kind of having this brand exposure and being able to do that, but what's been some of the things that you've learned or like the access you've gotten to people through Scoop that you never thought?
PC laptops. That's the big one. That's our most consistent one. Which I'm super thankful for because Dan there is just, he's crazy, but he's a genius.
Well, he's like it's also like a Salt Lake / Utah icon.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers PC laptop.
I remember the first time they're like, yeah, we're going to shoot something at PC laptops. I don't think that might be top 3 most nervous I've ever been in my life.
Oh yeah.
It was like, because they were like, yeah, we want you to interview him. I was like, oh my gosh. Like I grew up with the like PC laptops. We love you. Like Dan just doing crazy stuff on the TV, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to be sitting down next to him, interviewing him. Like I don't know why how does I did here? But no, I think the PC laptops thing has been incredible. I think that's honestly one of my favorite things. And through everything we've done with Scoop and stuff, I've actually managed to get my own sponsorship with PC laptops. I'm the only like solo content creator that's ever been sponsored by them. So like that's even a bigger deal. So it helps legitimize what I'm pushing for and going for and everything like that. So yeah, I just think everything we've done with them has been a huge thing in my career. As well as like me posting on Instagram as well and like collaborating with Scoop has helped build my audience on Instagram as well. Like I went from like 3,000 followers, not really caring about Instagram. And then when they're like talking more about a TikTok ban last year, I'm like, oh shit, like I need to like gotta diversify. I'm like, I need to do this before like it happens. Like I need to have a plan B before the plan A actually fails. So I started posting on Instagram more and like using collaborative posts and posting stuff that can like help my metrics, but also help their metrics. And like I've had a lot of videos that we've collabed with go viral, like multi-million, like just random stuff. And so yeah, I think it's just building my brand. My brand has gone nuclear since I've stepped on board with Scoop. Like everybody just like it's synonymous at this point. So
which is like, I mean, like very beneficial for you in a lot of ways, but then it's also nice to see like that overlap between, because like imagine you again, like they reach out to you, you come on board, but like yours doesn't grow.
Yeah.
Like then that says something about it,
right.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's nice for people to be like, all right, fuck with this.
Yeah.
We're in.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been awesome.
Damn. If you guys could pick someone that you would want to collaborate with, or like if a business partner, like, oh, if we could get this person to partner with Scoop, who are those people? What are those brands?
Supercar Ron.
Every time I see it, like he'll comment on something every now and I'm like, this guy, just classic individual.
Dude, yeah. I love his content. I think that's like not only his content, but I think the way that he does his stuff is so not only like family friendly and whatnot, but it's also enjoyable for everybody. And I think the things that he brings to Utah, like, I mean, he's the biggest car guy in Utah.
Yeah.
But I think bringing vehicles that like people have never even seen, some never even seen in this country, has helped his brand grow super big. And like, I really like the stuff he does. He does a lot of charity stuff. He does a lot of stuff for like kids, high schools, whatnot, but he puts together like really good, healthy events. I think that's what that's like what I wanted to add on to with Scoop is like, I think that's something we're trying to dive more into. Be a part of more like helpful, cool things. You know what I mean? Whether it be car meets or different events like that. Not only is it a good way to a good opportunity to, network with people, but I think it's a good opportunity for us to leverage our viewership to help. You know what I mean?
I mean, one of my favorite people in the world, I mean, it started with my gym rat days in college, but it was like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he gives these are 5 or 6 rules of advice. And one of them is give back.
100%.
And I always thought that when I think give back, it's like, oh, give money to charity. Give, like, once you have money, give it to things. But I've realized like the way to give back doesn't have to be that. It can be so many different ways. Like if someone reaches out, he's like, hey, I've been thinking about starting a podcast. Can I talk to him? Like, yeah, like let's grab lunch and chat.
Right.
Or if someone like, oh, hey, I need an intro for this. Or like, hey, could you help me promote this or think through like whatever it might be? I'm like, yeah, like I wish someone, or there were people that I reached out to for help and they helped me.
Right.
So at some point you have to be the person to give back.
100%.
And like, so it's fun to learn that lesson of like, I don't just have to be able to be like, oh, I made my millions of dollars. Here's your check for charity, blah, blah, blah. But it can be, I mean, time, effort, presence, showing up for people of a way to give back without, I mean, again, expecting anything in return and
Right.
give back support. I mean, especially the community. Like, I mean, to have, like I was talking with Mitch Matthews, he played football BYU, started his own business, and now just launched Flow House down in Pleasant Grove.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, and he talked the difference between, again, like having a large following isn't a community.
Right.
And the community takes time, it takes effort, it takes, I mean, just similar like building any relationship with a person. And we talked about it when we were setting up of like, you have to show up. Like first and foremost, you have to show up.
100%.
I've never had a good relationship with people who aren't there for me.
Right.
They can try to do a lot of other things or try to have a lot of words, but if there's no action, it doesn't matter.
100%.
And so having that action with people and bringing people together for good reasons, because everybody wants to do good things.
Right.
Like you don't go to anybody and be like, hey, like, do you want to make the world a better place? Like, no, burn it to the ground.
Right.
But like, it just like doesn't add up. And so the more that you can put out that energy and have people bring and like highlight great people, that's when I think like that next kind of level of great stuff that happens can start to see itself like come to fruition.
For sure. Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's important too. Like there's a lot of things that Utah's missing. So I feel like it's another, like, not only being able to help, but getting involved in those crowds. I feel like what's huge for us is every person that we've ended up networking with down the road. It's like, I mean, even Dan, Dan is somebody who he gives a lot of what he gives to us. He gives a lot of his time.
Yeah.
And he's a very, very smart individual.
I'm doing it for a while.
I mean, even outside of PC laptops, I mean, he owns, multiple other businesses, and he's been around for so long. He's seen a lot of things happen, and he's been able to give us a lot of clarity on, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. And I think having that availability is super helpful for us. And like, even as we grow, something that I've always been in fear of is it's like, as you grow, you get, more haters, more love, all that, right? It comes with it. But something that Dan said to me that stuck with me, that makes me like keep pushing and be okay with that, and it doesn't bother me, is he says that, what did he say? He said, big trees attract big winds. And he said that you have to kind of ultimately make that decision. Like, if you're going to be the biggest, it comes with a lot of stuff. And it's like, you compare that to like artists or music, you know what I mean? Like rappers and artists are getting robbed and killed and whatever. So it's like, it's the same thing. It's because if they get so big, you have so many eyes on you.
Yeah.
Could be positive or negative.
Yeah. But it's up to you to do with it what you want.
100%.
And realize like, not everybody saying something I have to internalize and take advice for. I don't go to one person for every single like asset of advice I would go toward.
Right.
And no one's great at everything. And so to be able to have someone who like, all right, you've done this before, I have this advice, but also like the more you succeed because he partners with you, the more he succeeds.
100%.
So it's advantageous for him to be like, all right, like, listen, I saw you guys do this.
Right.
I learned not to do that because of this.
Right.
Here's what I'd recommend, or maybe try this, or even just being like, just a thought partner of like, hey, what do we do? What can we do? Like what? I mean, again, going to like regular content, what segments, what do you think people have an appetite for? I mean, he's got to be a good person to talk to.
100%.
Chris, so I'm gonna set up a scenario for you.
Yeah.
You're sitting at home, doing whatever you do, watching Real Housewives of Salt Lake. Your phone buzzes. It's either a text, a call, or a DM from some sort of rapper musician. Who would you hope it was the most?
Gotta be YB.
Yeah.
Top. That's the only one. I don't really listen to nobody else. Just YB.
Yeah. And if you think he's like, we'll keep going with it. Let's say he's like, all right, Chris, I'm flying into Utah for 3 days. Got a music video I got to shoot, maybe some other content. Like, give me some ideas to know that you're the guy that I should be working with. Like, what would you say to him? Be like, I'm your guy because of this.
For Utah?
Yeah.
Like in Utah? I don't know. I would say like whatever you need, like we'll find it. Like if it's something he requests is like a car, we'll find
Supercar Ron.
yeah, we'll hit up supercar on. But yeah, we'll get anything done. Like I feel like I don't know if it was a different musician. I don't know who it would be. I want Michael Jackson, but he's dead.
He just comes back. He's like,
Yeah,
I want to use a video with you, bro.
yeah. We'll use anything, all the resources we got. We'll throw it at him.
We just got to go find his body and bury it in like a cemetery. How we go?
That'd be cool. But yeah, no, it's I don't know. Like we know a lot of people out here, and that's the crazy part. How Utah's so small. Like you just know everybody eventually.
Small Lake City, baby.
But there is a lot of people moving here too. So that it's about to grow even more.
100%. And then it's funny, like, I mean, going back to your point, Dylan, about like, I mean, you start working with a lot of local people, you start meeting a lot of local people. And like, one of my favorite things, like if I go out on town for a night or out for dinner or whatever, and I'll be like, oh shit, like I saw 5 different podcast guests today. It was a good night. Like I saw 5 good friends of mine. And then being able to have someone be like, oh, well, like I know this person, like, oh, I like know, like yeah, like and I know someone that can help you with that, or like I know someone this, or like, oh, my friend, they're like, who's your friend? Like, oh, this person. They're like, how do you know them? I'm like, long story, but it's just fun to see all those things come together, and like especially when it gets to the point where, again, let's say someone reaches out to someone else, is like, hey, I need some help with content, whatever it might be. They're like, oh yeah, like Chris, Scoop, like they know what they're doing. Hit them up, and they're gonna be the ones who can take care of it, whatever it is.
Right.
So the 2 questions I always end every episode with for each of you is, the first is, if you could have someone on the Small Lake City podcast and hear more about their story, what they're up to, who do you want to hear from?
That's a good one, honestly. I'm trying to think of somebody like in Utah that I like look up to a lot, that we haven't like talked to, or like that we haven't heard a podcast, or not even a podcast, but like any video of them speaking or anything like that. That's actually a good question.
I want somebody that works at Fox and just ask them like, what do you think of Salt Lake City, Scoot? Just to see like the inside details, how they see us.
They're like, we need some content. We need Chris on this.
Yeah.
I think it'd be sick to have NBA YoungBoy on the podcast.
Yeah, he'd be a fun one. Be like, listen, like I know you got experience here, but like to be the caliber of person he is, and then realize you're gonna go on house arrest for a long time. Be like, all right, so I just bought this house up here. I got space. This is where I'm gonna be. Chris is on his way to come shoot some run and gun. Let's grab some fun. Yeah, no, it'd be so funny. It'd be so fun to talk to him, because again, like like you talked about, Chris, like he's a normal person with the same sort of issue where he's concerned, but like I have like think of YoungBoy, I think of like him is the personality I see him as.
Yeah,
it's always fun to see people out of that context and see, I don't know, just like, for lack of a better term, like true colors.
Yeah, he likes to go outside a lot. Like we do a bunch of outdoor shit, so it's just weird seeing him in this setting in Utah.
Sure. Ski masks not in the winter.
Yeah, and right now too, the summer about to come, it's gonna be cool. I don't know what we're about to do, but we'll see.
Yeah, he's gonna be calling soon. He's like, listen, we can go anywhere. We're gonna go film something at the like Zion or something.
Yeah, hopefully.
That would be sick.
Yeah, he knows about St. George. Who knows it's like 4 hours away from Las Vegas too. Or 2 hours? Is it 2 hours? Yeah, 2 hours.
Yeah, he's probably gonna figure that out, and the blessing and curse of it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, boy, got you. What about you, Jordan?
I've been intrigued. I really like seeing like celebrities like talk about why they come to Utah, like why they live here. Ty Burrell would be a cool one. From Modern Family. Post Malone, Jelly Roll, like they've all made Utah their home, and it's just like
I love Jelly Roll is here.
Yeah, I saw an interview with him recently. Probably within the last like 4 or 5 months, where he talked, or he was on stage here.
Wait, he was here last summer.
Yes, yeah, and he was talking. It was from last summer, but I saw it more recently. But he was talking about how he like bought a house in Utah because he loves it so much. But I was just like, I want to know what in their perspective, because they're like glitz and glam, like they can
they can do anything, they can go anywhere,
right? Like why Utah? Like why Cottonwood Heights? Why like random little places? Because it's not like they're not living from like what I've known about like Post Malone and stuff like that is like they're not living in these like they're living in crazy houses, but they're not living in like untouchable areas. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not living in like Pepperwood and Sandy where it's like super gated, but they have security and everything like that. So it's like I just want to know like why Utah of all places. Like Ty Burrell, I think would be one of the coolest ones. I think I've watched a lot of his interviews, and I just think he's such a cool guy, and like he owns a couple bars.
Yeah, like Bar X, beer bar.
Yeah,
and one other one. But yeah, I mean, like, because again, could do it anywhere, but
why
here?
Yeah. So yeah, I think those are kind of like my top 3 would be those.
Yeah, I imagine I can just see Post Malone and Jelly Roll at Post Malone's house somehow, just crushing Bud Lights, and then next, Jelly Roll's like, I saw your neighbor, your house at the house next door is for sale. Yeah. But like talking out. Next thing you know, Post Malone's making a lot more country music.
Yeah, actually,
all comes around. No, that'd be good. And then lastly, if people want to find out more information about Scoop, see what's coming up, keep an eye out for merch. What's the best place to find information?
On Instagram. Yeah, on our Instagram.
SLC Scoop.
Not Salt Lake Scoop. SLC Scoop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
SLC Scoop.
You should get, if it's still available, the Salt Lake Scoop handle, and just have it be like, go look at this scoop instead of rock scoop.
Yeah. There's an Ogden Scoop. Do you see that one?
Yeah.
Ogden Scoop.
Betas and Ogden's impersonators.
Shout out Ogden Scoop.
You're way nicer than I am. I'm like, if you're impersonating me, fuck off.
Yeah.
It's flattering, but no thank you.
Yeah, it's whatever.
No, this has been great, guys. It's been fun to get to know y'all better, hear more of the story, because I've been, fascinated by it, and it's fun to watch. Excited for what else is to come.
For sure. No, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.